Hello, welcome back to Germany. Guten Tag. We are now almost at the end, mercifully, of the trip to Germany. Leeds United are still here. The squad are remaining at their training base in Arsfinkel. What a name! What a place! We've been staying in Gütersloh, which we can tell you now without fear of arrest by the German authorities because the games have been played. There is no longer any chance of 2 or 3 Leeds fans turning up at a game and causing an international scene. Leeds United played the final game of the trip against Paderborn, the club of Daniel Farke's son, Lewis Engels. We'll come on to him. They played that game on Saturday afternoon. They won 3-2 to make it 2 victories from 2 in Germany. They've got training sessions today, and then they will train again on Monday morning. And then they will make their way back to England. I think Daniel Farke is quietly pleased with how things have gone. In terms of injuries, they've picked up a couple of niggles. Sebastian Bornau, he's out for a couple of weeks because of one he picked up on day 1 of the training camp. Sam Chambers, Harry Gray had slight niggles, so they missed out against Paderborn. Isaac Schmidt had a pre-existing minor injury that he's been working through, but beyond that, they seem to have come through pretty unscathed. Lots and lots of training sessions, lots of hard work, and 2 games as well, 2 victories. And Farke has had a look at some of his options. And while he's been out here, his squad has grown. So first they had the arrival of Anton Stach, who is quite happy for us to butcher his name, the pronunciation of his name. So let's not get too hung up on that this season. Let's not let him be the Groif or Gruev of this season. And then Lucas Perry, another big lad, even bigger than Stach, actually, about 6'5" and a wee bit. He is a giant goalkeeper. He strode into the stadium yesterday with his new teammates, deal all signed. But because they were playing a friendly, and because his previous club, Lyon, were playing a friendly, the both clubs agreed to hold the signing announcement for later in the day. Yeah, big guy. Daniel Farke very pleased to get him in. And I guess you can see why. He played in the European top league last season. He impressed. He had a very good season. He's got a laser of a throw on him. His throw is absolutely incredible. He should be a commanding presence in his box. He should be able to deal with corners coming in. I mean, if he comes through a crowd, he will be clearing bodies out of the way. There's different kind of body types on players of that height. Elland Melee is a big guy, 6'4", I think, something like that. But this guy is a bit more of a tank, even kind of a lot more imposing than Stach would be. Stach is no longer the skinny kid that he used to be. He told us yesterday that he grew 25 centimeters in 1 year, having been quite small and skinny. And then he was far too skinny for his height and had to bulk up quite a bit. But he wasn't always a kind of defensive destroyer. He was more of a creator, a technician, took lots of corners and free kicks in his time. Daniel Farke mentioned that he can take corners and free kicks, but when you've got a player of 6'4", you want them in the penalty area. So those 2 players arrived this week to add to the height that Leeds United now possess, along with Jakob Biol. Lucas Nemec is quite a big guy. Sebastian Bornau is a big guy. They now are suddenly a lot more physical, a lot bigger, a lot stronger. And you would think a little bit more adapted and suited to life in the Premier League, where every team has a team full of elite athletes. As for the game itself, Leeds United won 3-2. They could have won more comfortably. That said, Paderborn had a couple of chances as well. It was another good test. Started pretty evenly. Once Leeds United got the lead, I think they kind of took control. Not entirely. They never really had it completely nailed down. And Paderborn had a kind of late comeback towards the end and a couple of goals from a journeyman forward. But I think the highlights for Leeds were probably Jakob Biol's performance, very commanding. Him and Joe Rodon next to one another look like they're starting to develop a little bit of a partnership, a bit of a relationship there, getting their positioning right so that they can find each other with passes, making recovery runs, looking out for one another when the ball goes in behind. Both playing very physically, both good in the air, both a threat from set pieces when they get forward. Pascal Struikers as well. He's looked a real threat from set pieces actually during the 2 games that they played out here. Willy Gnonto's performance was another bright spot. I thought that goal was quintessential Gnonto, wasn't it? Picking up the ball, ghosting past the player and just hammering it low and hard with accuracy into the bottom corner of the net. Took his goal really well. Lucas Nemecha's goal was the flukiest of the bunch. The ball just kind of rebounded to him, kind of almost off and through the goalkeeper for Paderborn, and he stuck it in from a couple of yards. And I really like the performance of Louis Engels as well, Daniel Farke's 18-year-old son, playing in the midfield for Paderborn. He made a senior breakthrough last year, and as a 17-year-old, and played 12 games, I think, in the second tier of German football. And he looks a real prospect. But Daniel Farke was very, very, very clear that he would not ever sign his son. Said it would be horrendous for him and horrendous for his son. But it was a proud and special day. The pair of them shared a grin and a bit of a look as Engels came off in the second half with Leeds winning the game. And no words were exchanged, but they exchanged a little clap of hands and a smile. And I'm sure they had a proper debrief over it later on. Dan James struggled a little bit, I thought. He hasn't looked entirely comfortable, I think, when they've been playing in a 4-3-3 system. Maybe it's timing, maybe it's slight rust. You know, he ended the season with an injury, didn't he? So maybe he's got to get back up to speed again. But like I said, I thought Nonte was good. Stach picked up a really, really nice assist. Gudmundsson looked like he wants to get forward a lot. Jayden Bogle looks like he's come back in great nick and in great form. And we had another instance of a Leeds United goalkeeper being pinged for holding onto the ball for too long. And if anything, although Daniel Farke was cursing the skies and cursing the officials and a very, very unhappy man, and although Carl Darlow was not best pleased, and goalkeeping coach Ed Wooten certainly felt that Darlow was in the motion of clearing the ball when the referee, who was also the referee for the SC Verl game, blew the whistle like he did against Alex Cairns and awarded a corner to the opposition. Is it not better to get these things out of the way in pre-season and have these warning shots across the bow than come into the season and not have it quite so heavily on your radar? Leeds have certainly been given a reminder in pre-season that goalkeepers and referees will be in the spotlight when it comes to those situations this season. I continue to be quite impressed with Lucas Nemecha. Mobile for a big guy, but I like the way he wants to take defenders on. There was an instance in the game yesterday where he picked up the ball on the left, turned, drove at a defender, tried to go round him, got sufficient space that the defender had to go through Nemecha to get the ball, and won a free kick in a really, really dangerous place. He's got a lovely touch at times. He's getting himself in the right place to get on the end of chances. Probably could have had another goal. You know, he could have been looking at 4 goals from the 2 games rather than the 2 he's got, but he'll be pleased to be in and amongst the goals. And Joel Peru as well. I mean, what a strike that was, and just classic Peru. I know that Largi Ramazani was probably looking for that pass when Peru got on the ball from Stach's assist, but Peru is never ever going to pass the ball from that distance and rifled it home. So another test for Leeds. A little bit sloppy towards the end defensively to concede those goals, but again, it's mostly about minutes right now. It's when you go into the Villarreal game and the AC Milan game that you're going to want to start to see a bit more from Leeds in terms of maybe partnerships, relationships, and a closer idea of what the starting side might be against Everton. At centre-back, you'd probably have to say it'll be Rodon and Struijk at this rate, with Biol suspended and with Bornau currently struggling with that injury.
I'm quite pleased that we've still found a way to win this game, and it's still a good side. So it's a side who was nearly promoted to the Bundesliga last season. So I'm happy with the win. Yes, could have been more comfortable in the last 10-15 minutes. We should have scored at least 1 or 2 more, and also a bit annoyed with the manner we concede the goals, but it's pre-season, so it's not we have to overinterpret it. They looked sharp, especially in the beginning. We had some problems in our pressing, but you learn sometimes out of this periods in the game a bit more than an easy, smooth win or a highly praised Man United game. So overall, pretty important tests for us and also for the boys to show some resilience when they are not really fully recovered and not sharp and not really fresh and ready to go. So I like the resilience and still that we had the will to win this game. So overall, I think also important test for us.
The midfield intrigues me. What are you asking for from when you put the 3 of them in there? They seem to be sort of, it's a movable feast. They seem like they can all do each role, each other, and sort of share the load of it. Is that what you're asking for from them? Is it more structured?
Yes, but at the moment it's also still important to get used to each other. So, for example, Anton Stach the first time on the pitch, and of course, also like first time together with Tanaka and Isna Badu, and later on still Sean Longstaff is still getting used to all processes. Ilya Gruev, they've also played different positions. Ilya, for example, against Manu the 8, Hoyt, but today a bit the deep 6 position. It's still more like to add some experiences to get used to the processes. Right now, the period after the training camp comes where we work a bit more on the details and the relationships, and will look then also a bit more smooth. The tasks don't differ too much to what I want to see also during the season, and in general also from the midfield positions. Of course, when you play not with the traditional number 10 and a bit more number 8s or 2 number 8s, and then of course also like the pressing triggers are a bit different, and also the positioning is a bit different, but we're working on it. It's a work in process, and we still have the option to play with more number 10, like with Brendan Aronson later on, or Joël Pirot has also interpreted this role slightly different. So it's important to be flexible, and this is what we're also working on.
Who else might they have then by the time the season rolls around? Well, the name on everyone's lips right now, probably being said in a million different ways, is Igor Paixão, the Brazilian winger at Feyenoord. Leeds United made a bid this weekend. Feyenoord wanted more. Leeds United have upped their offer, and they remain in negotiations with the Dutch side for the left winger. He looks like a real game changer, a difference maker, one of these stretch targets that Leeds have been talking about. It seems to be pretty clear by now that Marseille have not been able to match Leeds. They couldn't get a deal over the line last weekend when all and sundry were saying they were very close to one. It transpires that wasn't actually the case. They were definitely in talks with Feyenoord, but they didn't get close to closing it out. Leeds United have come in towards the back end of the week, and there is a quiet confidence about Leeds, as there has been with other deals, at the same time recognising the difficulties of the deal. So Feyenoord are not particularly pushed to sell. It's not like they need to get this player off the books. He is the best player in their squad. They are going to want to see a very decent return. Where I think Leeds might have the advantage over Marseille is firstly, the amount that they could pay up front, and secondly, the fee that they could go to with add-ons as well. Premier League football is going to be a big draw for Paixão. I would not expect that on the personal side that would be an issue, or that Leeds would find an issue there. I think they've been given all the encouragement they need to try and close this one out, and we'll see if they can. The logistics of it are a little bit awkward, given that the Leeds squad are still here in Germany with the medical team, who would be required to do a medical. They're still here in Germany till Monday afternoon, something like that. And the Leeds key people, as Daniel Farke calls them, the heads of recruitment, Robbie Evans, who's the MD, and Adam Underwood, who's the sporting director. They were present for the Paderborn game yesterday, but they were to return to England on Saturday night. So you've kind of got the people who would sign off on the deal and the people who could do the medical in two different places at the minute. But it's not going to be an issue, is it? If we're talking about a deal that Leeds might look to try and hammer home in the next couple of days. But it is an important one to do, and it is one that I think Leeds would be in a bit of a rush to get done before anyone else comes in, because he is a very highly rated prospect. And I don't think many teams would look at his current injury status and think that was a real barrier to a deal. After that, then, you've got to say it's a striker, and Muniz is the one that has been on the radar all summer. And if they were to get both of those done, you would be looking at an A-star transfer window by all accounts. No one's going to say at this stage that Leeds United are going to stay up, or that the plan is going to be a complete success, but everyone can see that there is a plan, what the plan is and how it might work. And getting those bits of quality in, the players who could turn something out of nothing, the players who could turn small amounts of possession into big danger, goals and assists, those players will be absolutely key now. But they've certainly got the building blocks in place, and they've had themselves a fairly decent week here in Germany. I would imagine that we will be saying our feeder's end to this region of Germany and not returning. I say that touching wood, because you would think that if Leeds United stay up next summer, then they will be off to something a bit more glamorous, maybe America, maybe Japan, maybe Australia, something like that. And they would not be having a week in this area of Germany. You never know, of course. And we did, of course, arrive at a situation last summer where we said, well, at least fans will be here next year, and that didn't transpire. But fingers crossed, this will be the last time we are here without fans to watch Leeds United in pre-season.